few of my videos, I mentioned that some students ask me how to paint an eye, or a nose, or an ear, etc. And I always tell them I don't paint any of those things. I just paint little shapes that are darker or lighter than the ones next to them, of different colors. In this video, I'll show you an example of how I think of shapes instead of objects. I start off the way I teach on my DVD called How I Did It. I show you how I project the image on the canvas and make a rough sketch to get everything placed accurately. Then I get the background covered and put down a thin wash of colors on the rest of the face. After I've covered all that bright white canvas, I'm ready to get serious and concentrate on just the eye. Here's how my palette looks about now. I use very little paint and a lot of terp. Notice that I use a white area on the palette to judge my colors, since so far I'm looking at a white canvas. Later, I'll use a neutral gray background to judge values, since all the other shapes will now already have values around them. That very strong, warm, reddish-brown shape on his upper eyelid and the deep brown crease shape of the eye socket over the lid are a good place to start. I'm concentrating on getting the right color and the right value on each of these two shapes. Value means lightness or darkness. Also notice the value on this shape is a little darker on the right. I was careful to notice that on the original photo. Obviously, the crease shape is much darker than the eyelid shape, so I made sure to paint it that way. I don't already have any other final colors around these two yet, except for the thin wash, but these will get me close for something to start with. The next two shapes are the lower eyelid and the large bag under the eye. Here again, the values are different, although the colors are similar. There's a pinkish look for the shape that forms the lower lid, and notice it is slightly lighter on the left edge than the right edge. Actually, there are two values within the shape of the bag. The color on the top part of the bag is much stronger than the pink of the lower lid, and the pink of the lower part of the bag is a little darker than the pink of the lower lid shape. Noticing these subtle differences is what you're training your brain to see. The next two shapes are the slightly warmer upper edge of the eye socket and the very dark edge of the upper lid. Now I have some shapes to judge against for the new colors and values. Actually, some of these may change as I get more shapes painted in. So remember to be judging the color and value of all the shapes around the one you are painting. If one changes, then there are probably a few more that change also. It's a constant balancing act. Okay, the iris and pupil shapes are next. There are only two values to consider: the absolute black of the pupil and dark ring around the iris, plus the slightly lighter value and color of the iris itself. So far, our entire range of values is from the pure black of the pupil up to the light pink of the lower lid. The values of all the shapes we have done must take their place within this range. This is very important. The white of the eyes is rarely ever pure white. In this case, the white on the left side of the eye is about the same value as the left side of the lower lid, but a different color, a little bluish. And the value on the right side is about the same as the lower lid, but cooler or grayish. I even dropped a little of the gray along the edge where the pink and the red meet on the lower lid. Here's a tip you should learn. When you put a cool color next to a warm color, it makes each color appear stronger. The same thing is true when you put a bright value next to a dark value. The contrast becomes stronger. A few bright spots like the source light reflection right next to the pupil and on the eyelids brings the eye to life. But remember, I called the things I was painting shapes, not objects. I only used the object names so you would know which area I was talking about. but I was always painting shapes. Next, I did the shape of the bag shadow plus the lighter shape that shows the beginning of the cheek. Again, notice this shadow shape is darker on the right than it is on the left. And I also did the bunch of little shapes that make up the brow area. You now have other shapes with which to compare the values and colors. They all must fall within the range we have established. From here on, I just keep doing the same thing over and over, finding a new shape and matching the color and value against the shapes all around the new one. I did the second eye the same way, then the entire rest of the painting the same way. And here is the final result. I teach this idea of looking at shapes rather than objects on my DVD. It runs about an hour and 10 minutes and sells for about $59.95 including shipping. You can order it from my website at this address, www.cfsvideo.net. It shows you how to use PayPal for the payment. I ship the same day I get the order. Check it out now and have fun painting.